I begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today and pay my respects to their elders past and present. And today I would like to take you on a journey into everything that is involved into transforming a public library into a 24/7 accessible space. And we're talking about a space that's not only technologically equipped, but can also be easily reconfigured to allow for any type of commercial or community activity. So this project of ours has been in the making for almost 2 years now. And as you can imagine, we have faced many challenges related to security, of course, the COVID-19 lockdowns, the infrastructure rollout, and many, many more. But today I'm going to share with you our transformation efforts, some of the challenges and lessons learned. And what I personally find most exciting is we're going to take a deep dive in the technological aspects of a 24/7 accessible hub. But first we will fly to the northern beaches, and with its beautiful parks, pristine beaches like Palm Beach and bustling town centers like Manly, and have a look at how this project actually came to be. So as a little bit of a background, the Northern Beaches Council is a local government area in Sydney, New South Wales, with a population of over 270,000 residents. So our library service has 6 library branches and 4 community libraries, and they are spread out over a vast geographical area. But today we're going to focus on the smallest of those 6 branches, namely Forestville Library in the French's Forest Precinct. So Forestville Library was built in the early 2000s, and it had never been renovated since. Despite it had many windows, but it was actually a really dark library. And it had a massive wooden service desk, as you can see on the picture on the right, in the main entrance, and it had a single entrance and exit in a corridor kind of type. And let's not even talk about the cream colors used on the walls and the bluish carpet on the floor. It was just a beautiful library back then. So it also had no meeting rooms, and it had to miss out on hosting any community or library-hosted events because our furniture was static and also our shelving was static, so it could not be easily reconfigured. So it was really clear to us that Forestville Library desperately needed to be renovated. And besides, and I think maybe because of its limitations in space, Forestville Library was the most underutilized and least frequented branch in the service. And with its limitation in opening hours as well, it did not meet community expectations, and it was actually at risk of closure. And that was the last thing we as a service or a community wanted. So when we take a look at these community expectations, what were those exactly? So over the past 2 or 3 years, we conducted many surveys, and we gathered a lot of customer feedback. And analysis of this data identified 3 key trends that were most important to our customers, with the first one being space, the second one access, and the third one technology. So in terms of space, so people were asking for more designated/zoned areas in our library spaces. They were also asking for multi-purpose spaces and flexible spaces for their own community-led events or library programs. And those spaces also needed to be technologically equipped, for example, with more power plugs, USB charging ports, monitors, and even docking stations to plug in their own devices, to support the trend from working from home during COVID. And in our community, the need for extended opening hours is actually a library service-wide trend. And our community are asking for extended opening hours and to be able to access our libraries on their own terms and whenever suits them best and suits their busy working schedules. So they were asking for our libraries to be open early in the mornings, late into the evenings, and during weekends. And last but not least, in terms of technology, so we as a library service offer the standard technology like printing and photocopying and scanning, internet access, and public PCs. But people are asking for niche technology offerings such as 3D printers, 3D virtual reality equipment, green screens, video editing software, and much, much more. So customer feedback actually supported a daring new library prototype with niche technology offerings, flexible spaces, and extended opening hours. And Forestville Library, with its suitable geographical location and its desperate need to be renovated and improved, formed the best place to conduct a trial. Let me see. But where to start? So for guidance and inspiration, we looked overseas. And because we have got limited time today here, I would like to highlight 3 libraries. So the first one is the Freelton Regional Library in Ontario, Canada. they implemented its Biblioteca open access system in 2017 as an opt-in for their customers. So they said that opting in provided their customers with a higher level of accountability. The library space was also fitted out with various security measures, such as CCTV cameras and duress buttons. And they even had sensors in the public bathrooms to measure how much time people would spend on the toilet. Probably because, well, yes, to prevent library babies being made, but or other things. But yes, so. And they also, and as a second one, they had an option for a live video connection with a central branch that was still open for after-hours support. The second example is from public libraries in Silkeborg, Denmark. And they already introduced their extended opening hours system in 2004, I believe. Yeah. And library members could access the library with a membership card and a 4-digit PIN code. And what's interesting to note there is that upon entry, the membership card number, including this timestamp, and a photo taken by a CCTV camera will be stored on an external hard drive. So the response from the community was extremely positive, as they experienced an increase in flexibility, and there was a sense of ownership of the library, like they have been given the key to their own library. And the last but not least, this is a beautiful example of space optimization from the Nordic Public Libraries in Garriguet, Sweden. So they developed a brand new library branch in an empty factory in 2009, and they set out to create a flexible space that was at the same time homely and inviting. So we actually took a lot of inspiration from this library, and as you can see on the photos, all the shelving is on wheels, even the plants are on wheels as well. It got nice natural lighting filtering through. And here you can see they use antique furniture. I quite love the carpet on the floors. And again, they created also rooms within rooms by using the mobile shelving to create barriers in the library space, or like curtains that they could draw and then create those rooms. And they have sprung flooring for dancing, gymnastics, and yoga activities in the library. So that was really interesting, actually. Okay. Wait. Yep. So after all the data analyses and research had been completed, and the decision had been made to renovate Forestville Library and actually change the operation of our library, the real work could commence. So we decided to divide the project into 3 distinct stages, with the first one being all about modernizing the branch, opening up the space to create more flexibility and create more space for our users, for our community. The second stage is where we implemented our 24/7 infrastructure. We rolled out our CCTV camera infrastructure as well, including the rest buttons, which I will talk a little bit about in a second. And we developed our 24/7 access policy and the operational guidelines. And in the last stage is where the project really came together. This is where we procured brand new furniture and equipment from predominantly local suppliers in Sydney. We got brand new shelving, all on wheels. And most excitingly, we commenced with the 24/7 access trials. And the mobile shelving, how we funded that was by, we won a grant, a $500,000 grant from the State Library New South Wales for the public library infrastructure. So that was a welcome bonus for us as well. And we used that not just for Forestville Library, but also for Manly and Monaville Library, so 2 of the bigger branches for mobile shelving. So without further ado, I now actually want to present our space. So this is you can see there's much more space now in the library, and everything is, mostly everything is on wheels, our mobile shelving as well. Even a paint job and just new carpet did the trick already, but it's a much more modern branch now, more light branch as well. I just want to share, this is the new entrance area. So this used to be just a wall with a single entrance and exit. We took out the entire wall. The desk is gone as well. So it's just now an open entry, and you immediately step into a kind of an inviting area over there. Let me see, why is it not working? Oh, 1 second. Yeah, we have a concertina door because our library is actually part of a building with the Community Arts and Culture Centre, so the community centre, and we share the same foyer. So we had to think about that as well, like because they were open until 6 p.m. and we were open until 5 p.m. And they didn't want people to come in through the main door for 24/7 access, because then we had to redesign the entire foyer space as well, with the public toilets included. So what we did is we built a concertina door in here. We closed that. We are still staffed between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. At 5 p.m. we closed this concertina door, and we asked everyone to leave the building. And everyone who has opted in for this 24/7 access have to re-enter the library via a new 24/7 access door. Another photo of our main entrance. You see the mobile shelving here. So you can spend a lot of time reconfiguring the library space with, like, especially with mobile shelving. We spent almost 2 days to see like what would work well in the space. We created here kind of a bookshop feeling. We read now a high turnover, recently returned books. And then we got our service desk also on wheels. You can move that aside if you want to. This is a photo of the of a focus pod. So it's an acoustic pod. It has its own ventilation system and LED lighting in there, USB charging port as well. This is one of 3 meeting rooms in the library. So we used to have a staff office and a staff kitchen. What we did is convert those into publicly accessible meeting rooms. We took out the wall that separated the kitchen from the staff office, and we implemented a movable wall, so we can now turn it into one big meeting room or 2 separate ones, and one having a kitchen. And the kitchen is all hidden behind cabinet doors, so you can open it up or you can close it. And this is another example of just for an area for stand-up meetings. This is one of a space that we created for lounge area here. You can see that just like Garrigan in Sweden, we used the mobile shelving as a barrier between spaces. And we've got kind of bench tops against the walls with power plugs and USB charging ports and bar stools. And this is our makerspace area. So this is an area for all kind of workshops, makerspaces, training, etc., for customers to host events there as well. Another picture of our... So with the... I love the neon lighting in here. First I had library in hot pink, but that was too much of a nightclub or like Amsterdam where I came from. So it's like, we decided to go with cool blue. So that was a good decision. But yeah, even the pegboard, things like that, you can move that around. It's all from local suppliers in Sydney, so sustainably sourced as well. And you've got flip tables, so you can just push aside as well to reconfigure the space. And I believe, oh, whoa. Okay, it's tripping a little bit. Now I really feel like Amsterdam. Okay, so here you got cabinets against the walls. So what we did is we put all our library utensils, like the stationery, equipment for our story times, is all in there now in those cabinets. And this is just, I love that photo here, is because that's the robotic arm, one of the makerspace kits that we acquired. Allison's going to talk a little bit about that in a second. All right, wait 1 second. So in terms of security, so CCTV has been installed throughout the library, and we also have duress buttons, both hardwired and on lanyards for extra safety, so people can just put it on, just like a Fitness First example. Footage is locally stored and kept for 28 days, after which it's automatically deleted. And CCTV cameras are only active during unstaffed hours and monitored by an external council-approved security company. And with the access trials, so we decided it was best to trial the 24/7 access trials in phases. So we started with providing access to our library staff for initially a 6-week period. And during this period, we would welcome them to leave feedback. We also continuously improved our systems and our processes. Then we opened it up to council staff to really kind of promote it as like, hey, you are the first ones to use it. Use this opportunity now to really get buy-in from the broader part of council as well. It was a huge success as well, from management level to all staff who are working on the fields. They were just signed up to be part of this trial as well. Then we opened it up to our local Forestville community first, be it the local public schools, the residents and the businesses. And then finally, we opened it up to the broader Northern Beaches community to trial it out. And now I want to hand over to Alison Hamilton, who is a library technology coordinator and has been heavily involved in rolling out the infrastructure, and is going to tell you more about our technology in the library space.
Thank you, Michael. So the community was asking for more space to work, to study and to read, and there's only one way to create more space, and that was to reduce the size of our collection. The vision for Forestville Library is a community hub with a tight collection of highly readable, high interest, high turnover titles. While our junior collections were really well utilised, the adult ones were becoming overstocked, particularly adult fiction, non-fiction, large print and audiobooks. These collections have grown over time. There's a really handy car park by the return chute, and Forestville is a convenient drive-by returns destination. So we used last year's lockdown to weed heavily. Which button do I press to move on? The right one? We ruthlessly removed out-of-date content, grubby, dead stock, and titles where we held multiple copies across the service, and we just didn't need them anymore. And then again, 9 months later, before the new shelving was delivered, we thinned out the non-fiction stock again, really digging into those technical titles and, again, duplicates and grubbies and stuff that had just gone out of date, like travel in the preceding years. And we moved things to other branches. And pretty much, if you wouldn't read it in bed, if you're not going to be inspired to cook, redecorate, or learn how to train your pet, it doesn't belong in non-fiction at Forestville. But it's somewhere else. You can go find it from another branch. So when it came to planning for the technical infrastructure at Forestville Library, there were two key considerations: security and service. On the security front, we asked ourselves, how do we control who enters the library and what they can do while they're in there? So the access system we use is SOL, Self-Operated Library, from FE Technologies. And the system validates the user's library card and PIN against our LMS, which is Spidus. Each time the door's unlocked, the camera can take a photo of the entry door, so you've got a time-stamped image of each entry to the library. After Hours Access is an opt-in service for adult members who complete an induction process. So we've created a new borrower category, and only cards in that category will be able to unlock the door. It's a 12-month membership at a time, and as that 12-month mark approaches, you'll get an email from the LMS saying, hey, your membership's about to expire, and invite people to come in to renew and re-express interest in ongoing after-hours access. They can't renew that membership online. If they don't come in, they just get automatically rolled over into the adult membership category, so they're not losing their borrowing privileges. And of course, they can request access at any time. There's flexibility in the SOL system to add other constraints to entry. We can block access to cards that have been reported lost, and you can whitelist barcodes for cleaners or perhaps for an event code so that people can enter the building without being library members. We can also temporarily change the access rules as required. So should the entire space be booked for an event, you can block access for regular members, and people will be informed that this might happen in the induction process, and we will communicate through email, our website and social media if the place will be unavailable. One of our key stakeholders internally was, of course, our IT department, who emphasised the importance of mitigating cybersecurity risks. They required that no data ports in the public area be connected to the internal council servers at all, and that all unused ports were unpatched. We were able to disconnect permanently from the staff network earlier this year when we migrated FE self-check kiosks, the configuration to their Library Live server. So there's no need for those to access the library servers for the council servers for any data. And we also have a laptop at our service pod, so just operating on Wi-Fi. Not only does that eliminate the need for an Ethernet connection at the staff service point, it does actually make the wheels useful because you can take that service pod to any point in the library with a PowerPoint, rather than being locked into needing a port. Which brings us to delivering the service that people want in the reimagined library space. To enable work and study, we've created fixed and flexible work zones in the form of the study pod, permanently positioned desks and tables in the centre of the room, which can be reconfigured as needed, as Michael mentioned. So working means laptops, and laptops need power. And anyone who's ever done a renovation knows you cannot have too many PowerPoints. So we've placed plenty of them around the walls near the fixed desks. Some of them are built into study desks. And we've installed the suspended PowerPoints over the makerspace zone, as well as portable devices like virtual reality and augmented reality and programmable robots. We've got powered devices in our makerspace zone, like the robotic arm, which does drawing, laser cutting, 3D printing, anything your own arm might do, sewing machines and multimedia equipment. So the suspended power cords gives us flexibility in this space to run classes, to run workshops, or just have great big study sessions come HSC time at the end of the year without trailing extension cords all over the place. Working and studying also mean presenting and collaborating and exploring together. And for this, we've installed 2 large touch screens. This one here is an 86-inch screen, and which is fixed to the wall, and we have a 65-inch one that's on wheels and can move from the meeting rooms into the library space and back again. They both include a webcam and speakers, so they're suitable for a host of collaborative and interactive activities. They connect to laptops with an HDMI cable and a USB cable for the interactive touch 2 ways, and you can screenshot Chromecast, AirPlay, Miracast, so they're quite flexible devices. They run on Android. They're view boards from ViewSonic, and they're often used in schools, and they run on Android 9, so we can install pretty much any Android app on them as required. When they're not in use, we're going to use them to promote our library services or to invite people to come up and touch them to maybe explore our local studies, images, or more about the library service and other resources. Although many people will come into the space after hours just to use the space, we also want to offer the best possible service, even if there aren't staff around to answer questions. Having easy-to-use technologies is key. Our library users are familiar with our self-check kiosks and our Envisionware setup that we have for PC and printing and copying. All our room bookings are managed in Outlook, and those calendars can be published. We use OmniSign as our digital signage platform, and they can be published out to small displays that will be at the meeting rooms and the pods to advise people if a space is available before they get too comfortable in there. One area of concern for me was readers' advisory. As mentioned, we have significantly reduced our large print and audiobook holdings. They're not highly used in that the people that use them tend to come in and borrow one item at a time. But they are people that visit regularly, and we do have an older population and over 55s in retirement villages in walking distance of the library. So given the nature of these collections, people do prefer to browse the shelf or talk to a staff member rather than go to our OPAC to place a reservation. So the question was, how do we make it easy for these members to find their next read with reduced holdings on the shelf and potentially no staff around? And more generally, if we have fewer books in the building to create that space, how do we recreate the delight of discovering an interesting read on the shelf through our catalogue, which typically people use to search for specific items? So we've launched new touchscreen kiosks here, and for these I've built a landing page in our OPAC, which acts as a gateway to information. These are just kiosks in PCs inside in kiosk mode, Microsoft Edge to our catalogue. So there's an OPAC page in Spiders in our OPAC. And so you click through and they display carousels which are themed by collection. So, and you can just scroll through, and those searches, they're displaying in a random order. So each time you come back to the page, hopefully it's showing you something else, something new. And of course you can go to the full search result to see everything. Okay. So using portrait orientation, I believe, is an enhancement to the OPAC experience. It brings more information onto the screen and an intuitive mobile-like scrollable display. And also you can more easily get down to the bottom to that Syndetics Unbound data, which helps people find through to their next read. So I'd like to reach a point where our visitors are confident enough to find their next read. They come in, pick up one reservation and place a reservation for the next one across all of the collections and all visitor types. And so this is something that we'll continue to work on to reach that point. Back to you, Michael.
In light of time, I'll keep it short. I just want to keep it short with this one. So I would like to end this presentation with 4 key learnings. Simple ones. So do your homework, research what works best for your council area and your community. Identify your stakeholders early on in the project. We couldn't have done this with other council business partners. Security is more than an alarm system. It proved really complex and comprehensive. And we basically had to rethink from the ground up how an unstaffed library should operate. And the last but not least is bring in the library staff as well really early on, because when we presented to councillors and the broader community, received a great response, as this was the innovation we needed in the Northern Beaches, but it proved much harder to sell to our library staff, and we had to do many engagement sessions, and we did road shows as well as Q&A sessions, and really involving them in the design phases of these projects as well in the rollout. That worked really well, actually. And as last, I would like to mention my own team, so thanking the digital service team and everyone involved. And thank you for listening, and I would now open the floor up for questions.
Okay, the first question is, any idea on the additional cost to make,
Mm-hmm.
Start again. Any idea on the additional cost to make this space 24/7 accessible?
So the rollout cost, I could give you an indication, would be about $40,000-$50,000. The renovation cost, we're lucky enough to receive a budget of $400,000 as a library service, which doesn't always happen. Especially the next year, it won't be the case anymore as the 1st of July hits. But we actually only spent $200,000 of that to actually renovate the whole space, so that was good. But additional costs, I think for us, it would be about $50,000 for a space that's that size, 500 square meters. So it's a smaller library. But eventually, we would like to roll out, if this is successful, ongoing, at other branches of our service as well. Maybe the entire branch or part of the libraries. Yeah.
Are borrowers who can't attend in person for joining your induction disadvantaged, as they may only be able to attend out of hours?
You want to answer that?
Possibly, but if it's something that people want, we don't think it's a huge ask for people to come in face to face and eyeball us. We are 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, and we're open on the weekends. If someone's really desperate and they're already a library member and they want to, we could probably make exceptions and stay back or pop in. But we would try not to disadvantage anyone. But to come in annually and actually prove that you still exist and you're a person, we don't think it's a huge ask.
How are people using the space out of hours so far?
So it's early days still. There's a lot of positive feedback and people are keen for it. So I guess coming in and picking up reservations and sitting and using the space, a bit of curiosity still, I think, because it is early days.
We've got two that are similar. What sort of increase did you have in visitations? And how long have you had 24/7 access open to the community, and what are your usage stats?
Okay. So it hasn't been open that long because we have been hit by COVID, of course, the lockdowns and etc. So this project, when I wrote this paper and prepared for this presentation, was in July last year, and then of course the entire lockdown hit. We've been open for about 3 months now. So that's the reason. We did a soft launch first. The ribbon cutting event will be in September still. So I can't provide you any with stats yet, but what people are using the space for is, I got feedback that people come in on a Sunday morning most of the times, or on a Saturday afternoon to read newspapers. It's mostly predominantly local users. We still want to get people from all over the LGA to come to Forestville, but the state government is working on a new B line, which is a transfer from Chatswood to DY, that area there, and that will bring in much more traffic from the more metropolitan areas to the Forestville Library. So that's why I mentioned a suitable geographical location. But what I think is, at the moment, I see more usage between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m., not necessarily 1 a.m. in the morning. But that's why we do this trial for as well. Do we want to continue with literally 24/7 access, or will it eventually be something indeed? The infrastructure is in place. We'll do it 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then at any time we can expand it again if we want to in the future, after a lot of promotional activities. Yeah.
Is the space available to those who don't live in Northern Beaches?
Yes, it is. Yeah, anyone can be a member at the Northern Beaches Library Service. Yeah.
Will you get people to swipe in during open hours to collect usage stats?
No.
Okay.
No, because the Concertina's door opens, so they can just use that one. Yeah.
Even at this stage, would you have done anything different?
What I would do differently is what I said about the library staff. That's so important. And if you don't have that, if they are not convinced of your project, it can actually really fail. So, and especially now what we're thinking of, because it's still staffed between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., but eventually it might turn into a fly-in, fly-out from. We've got a nearby branch that's only about 2 or 3 kilometers away. So they are stationed there, and between 11 a.m. and maybe 2 p.m. they come in the space every day and just clean up the space, restock everything, do the shelving, etc., and then fly out. But to get from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. staffing and having their own staffing areas to a fly in, fly out is a big change management piece that we can't do instantly. We need to take definitely a year for that to slowly, incrementally change that towards that. Yeah.
Are any other branches exploring the 24/7 access?
So we are under different management at the moment. It just happened, a changeover. Originally, I was involved in we are writing a library strategy, developing a library strategy. And part of that strategy is indeed implementing 24/7 looking at that, at other branches. But at the moment, with our new management coming in, she wants to get a feeling of the lay of the land, and she wants to have her own contribution on the library strategy, obviously, which makes sense. And then we will revisit that again in 6 months. And then, but yeah, there are certain libraries that are really suitable for 24/7 transformation. Yes.
That's the end of our long list of questions. So can you join me, please, in thanking Alison and Michael for a wonderful presentation?
Thank you.
And thank you for the questions.